It probably took Michael Jordan 10 years. Biggie was long dead before MJ ever actually heard those lyrics probably.
Yeah. Justice for the blind, just something that'll find in the rhymes that are coming from my mind.
The sneaker deals, right?
The sneaker deals. Yeah. Let's talk about that. I'm sorry. Yeah.
So it's very interesting because, like they were saying, Phil Knight and Nike, because Phil Knight and I forget the guy, the co-creator of Nike, they were both track guys. They both ran track at Oregon, University of Oregon. So they originally started the company to make better track shoes because they're like, these shoes are trash. So
Nike is the goddess of speed. I think the Greek is a Greek goddess of speed or something, which is why it's called Nike. Anyway, sorry, not to interrupt, not to get to whatever.
Yeah. So, but you know, like they say in the doc, right? Converse has that dumbass rap commercial with basically all the best players from the 80s. I mean, even Dr. J wore Converse. Michael loved Adidas, right? And it's funny they didn't put Sonny Vaccaro in this episode. He's a plays a huge role in getting Michael to sign, but also is like a huge figure in Michael's professional life, period. So I'm interested to know, like, if they don't get along anymore. It seems like everyone who's close to Michael at some point stops being close.
Yeah, because they make it seem like David Falk has more to do with it. And I mean, not to say that David Falk doesn't have a lot to do with it, but to your point, I mean, there's a whole 30 for 30 about Sonny Vaccaro. Yeah,
and like in everything that I've read, like it was his suggestion. So like with Sonny, he's the guy that started, one of the guys who started like all-star high school camps and like games and stuff. So he has all these like ins with college coaches in that way because they start coming to him and say, hey, who do you like? Or who you got coming to the game? Who you got coming to the camp this year? And Nike, he ends up actually kind of like creating his own job with Nike, saying like, hey, I can help you guys get ins with college coaches. So it's really, really crazy that this stuff was happening. And they can't do it now. But at one point, Sonny Vaccaro was coming to, you know, and we talked about this in our pod before, but paying college coaches $5,000 to get their stuff outfitted with Nike rather than, you know, Converse, Adidas, or whatever. So at some point, he was making Nike so much money, they were like, all right, fine. We're going to give you kind of a real job now. So they had a $2 point something million budget, and their plan in '84 was to spread that among some of the top draft picks and sign them to multi-year deals, giving them, like, I don't know, $50,000 a year or something, maybe even less. And the story goes to Sonny Vaccaro, and he said this on live and TV all over the place. So if it wasn't true, I'm sure somebody would have said them by now. But he goes, give it all to this kid. Give it all to Michael. Like, this guy is going to change everything.
Yeah.
And they do a really good job in the doc of talking about how, like, trying to make Michael give him an identity away from the Bulls or the NBA as just being this amazing athlete.
Yeah.
And then essentially he lays the foundation for everybody else. And to the point where now everybody who comes out is just getting these crazy deals with the hopes that they're the next Michael Jordan. But the sneakers were always tough. Fred, what was your favorite? My favorite was my favorite is the 5s.
You're right. No, my favorite are the 11s, Concords. Those were my favorite. And you know what? With that said, you know, one thing I kind of think about is, especially because, you know, when you see like people like businessmen like LeBron or any of these dudes with these deals, you know, you see like they're doing so. It feels like players now are a lot better prepared business wise than people before, like in, you know, in those 2000s, you know, especially in the 2000s, right? Because they were reckless.
Yeah.
You know, like they you know, you could now, there's so much stuff just based on like, hey, how'd you spend your money? Like when, oh, well, I got to escalate. It was like all the typical stuff. You know what I mean? And so, yeah, and some of those players are still playing, right? So like Chris Paul, so like I think he bought an Escalade, like, you know, those type of things. But you know, it's crazy to see how, like, you know, are these guys businessmen before? Like, could they reach? Maybe not to this extent, but would they be good businessmen had they just started as a regular person, as a regular human being? You know what I mean? And Jordan, knowing that a lot of this stuff wasn't Jordan's idea, but he was kind of right place, right time. He had the right people around him. And with him being so competitive, took it, and kind of ran with it. I mean, the fact that he wouldn't even go see Nike, like his mom is like, yo, you gotta do it. Like, that's crazy. You know what I mean? Where I think now most people will be open to, those things. But I mean, you see like so many guys going into business, LeBron, Curry, all that. And to see how Jordan at first was kind of like, didn't know what he was doing. And then all of a sudden just went off. It again takes a little shine off of Jordan for me. That he is a businessman. But it's not like my man created, Nike. It was like there was other businessmen who saw what they could do with Jordan, and then Jordan, I think, took it and ran with it. So,
yeah, I mean, I think even to Magic Johnson's credit, I think Magic really. So MJ. If you wanted to look at what MJ contributes, especially to Black culture, not just even talking about the shoes, but in terms of a path for these athletes to become super successful, it's the shoes. It's the biggest thing that he's contributed. You know what I mean? Yeah, he's not spoken out on social injustices, but he showed how much a player can mean to an organization and how they can, demand their money that they deserve. And also how to leverage that ability and power into these massive shoe deals. But Magic is the businessman, I think, of all the greats. You know what I mean? He's the one who shows how to really elevate a business. And then to LeBron's credit, this is where LeBron really, I don't want to say takes off, but this is what separates LeBron, man. LeBron, at an early age, kind of already knew what the deal was. You know what I mean? And was listening. That's the most important thing. A lot of these guys don't listen, and LeBron is from a background that's as shitty of a background as any of these players have been from. So it's not like he's just, he came from a privileged background and was able to leverage his experience and his parents or whatever. No. He was just mad self-aware from a young age. He leveraged that. His ability to listen and learn. And he really, I think, is a big, big reason as to why a lot more players now are so business-minded. You know what I mean? Yeah. I don't think KD is taking meetings in Silicon Valley if LeBron had not been doing things like this first.
But you know what, though? Let me speak on that real quick. The thing is, the amount of money that players can make now is way more. Not even just like inflation, right? Yeah. It's just that there's so many different avenues
for sure,
and so many more endorsements. Like people see that. So there's more ways that players can make money just off of their likeness, and they know that. So they're able to make mistakes and still
bounce back,
right? Because you got like some of these players, the lifetime deals. You can spend all this money, make mistakes, pay for your sins, and be like, okay, let me get serious, right? Mm-hmm. Whereas that, I don't think a lot of players had that privilege back
for sure
in those like early years. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So sure. I mean, because I'm pretty sure he made all the like dumb decisions. Like when it comes to those type of things too. But again, with him being so young and how the game was evolving, he probably had the right people around him. Like people were already grooming him. From like LeBron in early age. It's not like Jordan went into college not knowing what the heck he was doing. Like he just wanted to play basketball. He would have stayed in North Carolina this whole year, the whole time. He just wanted to win.
Yeah.
Where everything was very coordinated. And I think LeBron did get the people and, people who were close to LeBron, brought the right people around him so he could succeed.
But listen, the thing is that he's coming in the 2003 season when there's the early 2000s, late 90s almost mirror the late 70s and 80s, the cocaine era. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just that the late 90s and early 2000s are the too much too soon era, right? That's where the Stephon Marbury gets too much money too soon. Gilbert Arenas gets too much money. A lot of these guys get too much money and they're not willing to listen. That's really the credit I'm giving LeBron. He gets the right people around him, but it's his ability to listen. You know what I mean? That allows a listen and learn, because there's a bunch of guys who had the opportunity to have the right people around them, but they didn't give a fuck. They didn't care. AI had the same, I'm sure would have had the same resources or similar resources, not the same, but similar resources, but was not going to be willing to listen. AI was just who he was. You know what I mean? So that's really the credit that I want to give LeBron. But to go back a second to the shoes, I mean, the shoes, this is really, I guess you could almost say that this is in a way the theme of the episode, because the shoes and the music are not accidental. You know what I mean? Them happening in the same episode this way is not an accident. Regardless of MJ not liking hip hop, the shoes represent hip hop and hip hop represents these shoes in a way. I mean, they're in sync. You know what I mean? Yeah, correct. They're synonymous together. Hip hop and Jordans are one and the same. They're in Do the Right Thing. They're in all the major black movies, Spike Lee
culture,
movies.
period.
Is hood culture for sure. The only way you could have made this more New York is if you would have thrown Tim's on somebody. You know what I mean? And if somebody would have said Son or some shit like that. But the Jordans and hip hop are the same regardless of MJ. It just shows how big MJ is, that the likeness of Michael. I mean, Biggie, shit, how long do you think it took before MJ even heard Biggie say, like Mike, Tyson, Jordan, Jackson? It probably took Michael Jordan 10 years. Biggie was long dead before MJ ever actually heard those lyrics, probably. You know what I mean? God rest Biggie's soul. And it just shows how something could explode onto its, you know, almost on its own.
Yo, yo. Justice for the blind, just something that'll find in the rhymes that are coming from my mind. Used to come in